Here we are, brand new images of the PJ Masks HQ headquarters playset. Now we're going to start with Owlette. As you can see, she's in her library room with a contraption on the wall. We're going to come back to that later, because as we slowly zoom out and out, you can see what is the first official picture of the final PJ Masks HQ. We've got Luna Girl there, of course, in the top. And we're going to keep zooming and see Romeo down the bottom. Of course, you've got that PJ Masks HQ computer with different readouts on the screen there in the center, just coming into view. But as we carry on, you can see that this toy has progressed considerably from what we saw at Toy Fair. We had a little play with it there, hands on the figures and the vehicles. Top right, you can see it has that Starfield scanner, and of course that zip line where the characters can hold on to that and zip down to the HQ. Got the lift there with Gekko at the bottom. And what's interesting here is at the back of the playset you have a ramp coming round. See that translucent turquoise ramp, and that fits perfectly to my eye to Catboy's Catmobile, as you can see, just coming into view. So you'll be able to place that on the back and he'll zip round and be right into action. Whether this playset comes with all these figures and the Catboy vehicle, I don't know. It feels likely that these things will be packed together and then you could expand it with other characters and other vehicles. Of course, you've got Night Ninja there down at the bottom as well. Now we're going to take a really detailed, super close tour of this HQ as we progress through this video. First of all, though, I want to zip down and look at Catboy's Catmobile. So as here you can see in the finished version, the decals have changed considerably since that one we saw at Toy Fair, and this matches that Catmobile that we've been seeing on the website, and of course the Catmobile that you see in the PJ Masks shows. Here there's just one seat for Catboy, which I think suggests we'll obviously have vehicles for each of the other PJ Masks heroes, and it's slightly different from what we've seen in other images that had 3 seats, one for each of the characters. As we get in closer and closer, you can see that Catboy is posable and you can put his arms up to drive the car. And this is true of each of the figures in this image of the playset. You can move their limbs, you can move their arms and their legs, and I think it looks like you can move their head around too. But as we get in super close here, you can see the tread on the tyres there, both on the front and the back, and that those Catboy lightning strike black decals on blue with the bright yellow lights of the Catmobile at the front. Those of course each rotate and you can whiz the car along, and most importantly down that slope that you can see behind. So let's zoom out and see what else we can spot in our PJ Masks HQ playset. Now I'm keen to get a closer look at Gekko and that Gekko lift, because the materials used here again have changed substantially and they look like that final sort of translucent plastic. So let's zoom in on Gekko. As you can see, the lift goes up and down. It looks like that there's a handle at the back that will raise and lower that. So you can pop Gekko or whoever in the lift, whiz them up to that next floor, and then they're out and they can get access to the computer and the different bits of action. I like the way that the back of the lift there has got those green, blue and red decals, which sort of hints at the tubes that each of the PJ Masks heroes go up. In the playset you just have one tube. You can see there on the right there's a little handle which you can use to raise and lower the lift. Again, Gekko fully posable in both his arms and his legs, and has hands in that sort of gripping pose, so he can grab hold of things and can play with different items and get hands on either with a vehicle or with that zip line. So let's just head up the lift. If we scroll the camera up, you can see different parts of the playset behind, some nice star details on the trunk of the tree there, and we're going up and up to see what's on level 2. Here again you can see that there's a spot there you can stop and step out and get access to all the different items. On this level there's the PJ Masks computer, and if you carry on right up to the top, up to level 3, we go into Owlette's territory, and you have this Starfield lookout where the zipline comes down and you can swing down PJ Masks characters. On that Starfield readout, of course, you can see different sorts of constellations connected by red lines. None of those I recognise personally. My favourites are the Plough and Orion's Belt, but I think this in the PJ Masks universe, they have their own stars and those own star layouts in the sky. So let's zoom out Again, as we do, you get a look at the rest of this playset, and you can see each of the different levels is themed around a PJ Masks hero. And the playset itself, if you look at the top, you've got Catboy's ears. If you look at the next level down, you've got Owlette's wings, and I think at the bottom there you've got Gekko as well, and you have their logos emblazoned throughout it. So there's a nice attention to detail of the show and plenty of moving parts. The wings there at the middle level, you can move back and forward. They have the hinge point, so again some nice extra play. But let's move on, we want to see more of this playset. Next person I want to look at is Night Ninja, and he is hiding down here at the bottom left, and it's sitting under a little trap for him that the PJ Masks heroes have in their HQ, this net that hovers over his head. So let's zoom in a bit more on Night Ninja. Again, you can see the final version of this toy, the sort of star-filled background to his outfit. Big, high eyebrows and that sort of surprised, slightly mean expression and green eyes. And again, each of his limbs and legs is posable, and it looks to me also like you can twist his head round to be looking out to see how he's going to foil or bring down the PJ Masks from stopping his plan. So some nice attention to detail there, and I think this fits well with that play set. And of course that net above his head is a nice way you can sort of set traps for the villains and stop them taking over the world. But as we zoom out, let's get another wide look at this PJ Masks HQ, and I'd like to go in and have a look at another villain, at Romeo here on the left. You can see he's sat on the second level of the PJ Masks HQ hideout, which I'd say is the sort of the Catboy Blue of the ground. He's next to that PJ Masks computer. But let's have a look at Romeo in detail. Of course, he has his big green sort of rubbery gloves on, lab coat and his goggles. That big swoosh of white in his hair gives him that sort of distinctive look. And again, the toy model here is posable. I'm not so sure about his legs because they're sort of under his lab coat, whether you can move those back and forward. It's hard to tell from this image, but certainly his hands are, and I think his head may well be as well. Again, we'll be able to confirm that properly when we get the toys in hand in the studio and try them out ourselves. He's got those sort of dumbbells, those pull-up bars, pull-up circles, what do you call those, next to him, and he can attach those with his hands and do a workout. But it's nice to see Romeo getting some attention, and with the three villains along with Luna Girl, of course you've got 3 villains and 3 heroes, which I think will make for some nice sort of play on the living room carpet and in the HQ as well. Moving across just next to Romeo, of course we have this PJ Masks computer. I want to hop along and have a super close look at this. Now it seems to be freestanding on this sort of circular blue base, which would suggest to me you can take it out of the playset, extend the play space into the living room, or potentially move it to different floors. And if we zoom in, you can see it's got the controls there embossed on the plastic, and it's got a left and a right sort of area with different buttons flashing. But particularly interesting, I think, are the screen readouts. If we go and zoom in a bit more here, you can see you've got Night Ninja, the Gekko Mobile, and different bits of readout. And that's on a circular disc here. And although you can't see, I think if we could have a look around the back, this disc, I suspect, will spin. As you can see, one of the new readouts is just popping up, and by doing that you can access and play at seeing different bits of information, which of course would then send the PJ Masks rushing into action to foil whatever plan they see coming on the readout. And it's interesting to see here some of the imagery that they're using and some of the play that they're encouraging, because of course PJ Masks is in season 1, but we suspect and expect it to go into season 2. That's in work at the moment. It's not been greenlit, but it seems with the success of the first show that's very likely. So the playset will want some longevity so that children can play with it both in terms of what they've seen in season 1 and in season 2. Of course, a part of that may well be the characters that they introduce at a later date, and those could be added to the playset, but characters so far, of course, we're focusing on the ones we know about, and we've got Luna Girl here, stood on top of the base, and next to sort of the Owlette area, with Owlette's amulet, of course, embossed on the back, and you can sort of see Catboy's eyes at the top. Some nice star detail on the trees either side, but Luna Girl herself, again, nice attention to what she looks like in the show. They've really got that facial expression perfect. You can move her legs, you can move her limbs, and it looks like probably you can move her head as well. And of course, Luna Girl will be coming up with all sorts of plans and tricks in the imaginations of kids as they take her and play with her with PJ Masks heroes. So let's move on and have a look at Owlette, who's just over here to Luna Girl's right, to our left. So we're going to scroll the camera across on this outer limb of the top far corner of the PJ Masks HQ. So you have this contraption on the wall just next to the bookcase, which we'll be coming back to soon. But of course we've got Owlette herself here with her arms up and a nice sort of cape detail. It's nice to see that, and her iconic Owlette winged hood sculpt as well. Of course you can move her limbs and you can move her arms. If we look over at this pale blue contraption up here, you can see that it is kind of some sort of belt or holster for the figures, and it has a little pulley on the top. And what I think this is you pop the figures in it and then you put that pulley on a zip wire and then they can zip along and land in the HQ. If we just pop over, you can see the zip wire on the other side. So those two together add a nice little extra element of play. You've got some dynamic whizzing characters and PJ Mask heroes through the air, whether that's Owlette, Catboy or Gekko. So as we pull back to get the full PJ Masks HQ playset in view, I think that's been a really nice way to see the different features, the different interactions of this PJ Masks set. I'd love to know how you would be playing with it if you're a PJ Masks fan, and equally if you're a parent. Is this the sort of toy you think your kids would like for the show? Are they going to be lining up to buy this when it's launched? I should think the popularity we're seeing on the channel of PJ Masks, these things are going to fly off the shelves, so it may be worth when they appear at retail at pre-ordering. I think it's still a little way off before they're going to actually be in store, and I know that will be the question in the comments: when are these going to be available to purchase? We'll be back to let you know more details on that. We continue to have interviews with the creators of PJ Masks E1 Family, with Olivier Dumont and other partners with the show. Of course, Just Play being responsible for the PJ Masks toys. But for now, I think that's a really nice look at this PJ Masks HQ. Let us know what toys you think you'd like us to focus on next. We've got some plushies. Of course, we saw those backpacks recently. We've got the outfits. So there's a whole load of PJ Masks paraphernalia for families to look into getting for their kids, and to extend that experience from the sort of sat down watching the show on a Saturday morning out to playing, whether that's in the garden, in the living room, on the kitchen floor. As I said, we'll be in the comments to answer any questions just as soon as this video goes live.